For financial institutions in the US, Ripple and XRP are at the center of innovation and transformation. We have a brand new clip here. The industry will undergo more change in the next 5 years than it has in the previous 50. SIM and P Dow Jones indices and referencing Ripple and XRP are some of the other recent changes we have here. What's all this about? Well, Christine Lagarde also believes that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, so you shouldn't really invest in it. I must play this video. RAL-USD also launches. Real transactions are happening on the XRP ledger. Brazil. What does this all mean? Near the end, I have some more XRP and Ripple news. Price discovery, huh? This is where we believe the price of XRP will go in the coming months. Come on, let's play. If you're a customer or an FA, how do you handle this transitional phase while honoring your building, the finished product? Do you share a typical experience? How would you handle that? Additionally, I believe there is a great deal of risk between the old and new legs. One is not settling quickly, the other is. How can you help your clients get through this strange transitional phase? Yes. Chris, that's a really good question, and I think we could argue about this subject for an hour straight. According to my personal opinion, you can't go slowly. We must act fast if we are to actually accomplish this. Alright? And that implies that there will be a strong push to implement these wallet-based solutions as soon as feasible. That there would be ongoing legislative and regulatory pressure to establish all the guidelines for conducting business in these areas. Additionally, there will be a surge in demand for new ink from new competitors, which will likely force established companies to change their business models much more quickly than they ever would have imagined. We like to remark that we believe the industry will undergo more change over the next 5 years than it has in the previous 50. Although the process and the idea are frightening, I believe the journey will be extremely fascinating. And that's precisely why you claim that you can't slow down. This divided structure, where some things move on a whole separate timetable and other things move quickly, is unacceptable since it raises the possibility of issues. Therefore, I believe that the pressure will be to switch to the more effective set of tracks as soon as possible. Go as quickly as you can to the new set of rails. This is Franklin Templeton's Chief Innovation Officer. Under management are assets of 1.7 trillion. Gentlemen, if that's how institutions are thinking, we're going to have a very rough time. The S&P Dow Jones Crypto Market Index is shown here. As you can see, we have a number of assets including Ethereum, XRP, Binance Coin, Tron, Solana, and more. What does all of this mean? Thus, as of September 30th, 2025, the screenshot displays the S&P Dow Jones Indices, S&P Cryptocurrency Broad Digital Market Index, which covers more than 300 digital assets, including XRP, and offers data on market capitalization and index weightings. Alongside Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrency constituents, XRP is ranked among the top 10 by index weight. The S&P Cryptocurrency Broad Digital Market Index covers digital assets traded on reputable exchanges and is intended to provide a wide exposure to the cryptocurrency sector. Institutions use indicators such as these to build investment products, benchmark the performance of crypto portfolios, and increase transparency in the digital asset market. XRP is regarded as one of the biggest, most liquid, and most traded cryptocurrencies due to its participation as a main element. I apologize, I simply had a fleeting glance there. After the purchase of Rail, Ripple is now regarded as one of the year's most active acquirers in October 2025. It also discusses how Ripple, which has been one of the most active acquirers this quarter, has acquired Rail, a business-to-business stablecoin expert. Ripple purchased Rail for $200 million. 10% of stablecoin payments made between businesses worldwide are made via Rail. Therefore, Ripple may have gained an additional 5 or 10% if they decide to acquire another business that operates in the same stablecoin payment market. Ripple may control 20% or perhaps 25% of stablecoin transfers from company to business around the world. And to be honest, that's the direction this is going. Okay, now let's hear from Christine Lagarde. Tell us, please. Tell me your thoughts on Bitcoin. Hello, I'm Geordie and I'm an economics student. I also want to respond to your comments regarding cryptocurrencies. You stated that you don't think it has any inherent value, which I disagree with. After all, what's the point of it? I believe that we are currently living with inflation, particularly in the contemporary surroundings. What is the current rate of inflation? It's quite excellent now. However, that was only to inform those who were unaware during the COVID era. Christine Lagarde is the head of the European Central Bank, in case you were unaware. After the pandemic, it was her and her team's responsibility to lower inflation in the European Union. In the United States, we have seen a decline in inflation, but in the last 6 to 12 months, it has begun to rise significantly once more. And we are still working to resolve it. No, I believe the most recent reading of 2.2 has a little bit more than 2%, and in the Netherlands a bit more. It's 3.3 and demand, rising in the Netherlands. You will therefore claim that it is a superior instrument. What is your number? Bitcoins. I won't offer you a specific percentage, but it's over 90% of my portfolio. So the question is it not possible for Bitcoin to function similarly to digital gold? Well, no. Isn't that the last response? Should we? Sex 1? Yes. As you're already aware, I'm hesitant to say that. But I say it because I don't have any fear, because I know that social media will hit me like crazy tonight and tomorrow, because that's how they create their communities, their beliefs, and their confidence in one another. However, I continue to believe that it lacks both inherent and underlying value. This is not to imply that there isn't any buzz generated as a result, which some people may link to a price or value that fluctuates based on events. It is instrumenting who is it. To be honest, the price of Bitcoin is entirely based on hype. It isn't really predicated on the technology that is being embraced and utilized around the world. Financial institutions will inform you upfront that they do not use Bitcoin for treasury operations, payments, or anything else. All they're doing is purchasing it in the hopes that the price will rise. However, Bitcoin will crash eventually if something happens, such as when the Satoshi wallet unlocks and the cryptocurrency begins to move. There are a lot of things to be concerned about with Bitcoin, such as the possibility of a treasury market collapse or tether-related issues. Indeed, there are many who think it will reach 1 million or even 10 million, and so on. However, since the real value will be found there, I would much rather invest in an asset that banks are genuinely interested in using for settlement. Not on conjecture or hype, but on practical applications. And well, I just know that Christine Lagarde is honest. I adore that. Okay, so the XRP ledger is now showing the Brazilian real. Check out the first transactions that are taking place today. You may view the actual transactions here with this XRP scan. Royale from Brazil. This is really awesome. After then, the Brazilian Royale has formally launched on the XRP ledger as a tokenized asset, marking a critical turning point in the integration of blockchain technology into conventional financial systems and facilitating quick, easy, and legal digital transactions for institutional and shortly regular users. Brasa Bank, a significant Brazilian financial institution, helped create the Brazilian real stablecoin, which resulted in the first transaction of the Brazilian Royale on the XRP ledger. It's great to see that the launch is a part of a phase rollout that is expected to cover roughly 30% of the Brazilian stablecoin market by the end of 2026. The XRP ledger, multi-purpose token, permission DEX, and native protocol lending are also getting some new capabilities. Jazzy Cooper is shown here. Cross-border payments clearly require payment capabilities which XRPL currently possesses. However, it becomes evident that credit origination is necessary if you want to truly mimic traditional banking or move many of these use cases onto the blockchain. We're approaching this a little differently on XRPL than in other DeFi ecosystems. Okay, that was enjoyable. Then where are the values of XRP? Where is it going? Caleb Fronson, the founder of Cubic Analytics, was interviewed by Tony Edward from Thinking Crypto. These are his XRP price projections. You see, it's not me, isn't it? These price targets are determined by the chart itself, not by me. The price is the price. In the market, it is the only thing that is true. Thus, once more, the identical approaches that we have discussed. Our goal of 161.8% brings us to $4.40. We reach $6 with the 261.8. We are now discussing $5.40 and 11.5 if we examine the significant consolidation from the first quarter highs to the first quarter lows. Therefore, if you're holding and investing in XRP at the moment, those are the price targets that you need to be aware of. Because I believe that these price objectives are where we're going as long as we remain over $2.68. You may be stopped out if we drop below 268. A portion of your exposure can be decreased. Your DCA can be slowed down. In any situation, you can have an upside bias and a thesis. We will arrive, but you must have an invalidation criterion. You're allowed to be incorrect. It simply isn't. Alright, so what will transpire